Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Stuck Not Stopped. We are on episode 5 and the first one of 2021. I am finally back on track. My semester doesn't start until the 25th, so I'm also going to try to pre-record episode 6 so I don't have to freak out about it and procrastinate because I have a terrible habit of doing that for the month of February. I want to make a couple disclaimers before we jump into this. I am not a doctor, not a medical professional. I am pursuing a degree in psychology, and I avidly research health, fitness, general well-being. So anything I put out there is all my personal opinion and experience. One other quick thing before we go into this. Like this video, like any other videos, unless of course you do not appreciate them, that is okay too. But seriously, the likes and the subscribes help this channel grow and get the platform out there. The algorithm of YouTube is that when your videos are showing that, other listeners and subscribers are interested, YouTube will push your video to the front. So sharing on pages on Instagram, people will be able to see the links a bit more. It feels like a shameless plug, but it's really not. I'm very new to expanding this kind of platform. And I'm new to making this kind of community. So if you guys would be so kind, if you are comfortable to share my page, subscribe, anything you can do. I really want to keep building a nice little community for us and to just talk about this stuff. And speaking of which, the topic of today's podcast is communication. Now, for a better understanding of this context, it would be beneficial to listen to episode 3, which discusses effects of mood and cognitive disorders tied in with vaginismus. So jumping right into it, how would you talk to a significant other, a family member, telling your friends, a therapist even, whether that's a psychotherapist or a physical therapist? Talking about this can be super uncomfortable because it's a very intimate subject and it's not one that feels common because it's not something you can say out in the open. People can walk around saying the words depression, or people can walk around saying the words schizophrenic or whatever. But nobody really walks around talking about pelvic floor disorders. Nobody walks around saying, yeah, I'm feeling really worse with my vaginismus today. And that's an actual thing, So telling friends to start off, you should be listened to and sympathized with. Let them know if you're okay to answer questions they might have out of curiosity, or if you'd rather just someone sit and listen. Personally, I'm open to detailing anything, but if that isn't your thing, you are completely valid in only saying what you're comfortable saying. I strongly recommend discussing such an intimate obstacle with someone won't even chance gossiping or slipping up and mentioning your private business to other friends or family. We all have different dynamics with different people. We're all of different ages. I have people who have messaged me on Instagram that are 15. I have people who have messaged me on Instagram that are well into their 40s and 50s, whether that means they're married, they're single, they're scared to date. And I do have a handful of people saying I don't know how to talk about this with other friends and family. And I've given quick, tips to people who DM me, which anyone is, feel free to DM me anytime you guys want. And I figured enough people are curious about this to talk about. So, you want to tell someone is going to keep it confidential. And I completely understand that can be very anxiety inducing. And people can get really nervous talking about these things because, sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we don't trust ourselves with it. Sometimes I feel I want to run around. I don't know. Maybe not everybody feels this way. Personally, I'm somebody I'm a loudmouth. I will tell anybody anything and everything. And sometimes it's really uncalled for. But that's not the point. I mean, if it's not your thing to talk about this a lot, but you feel you got to talk to someone, do it with someone you trust and try to get over that obstacle, because I very much feel this condition is something you can get through with support from people who really, really care about you. Also, real quick, sorry if you guys start to hear little taps. I record in my car because of the acoustics, and my inside the apartment, it's not so great, and it's starting to rain, so sorry about that. The second thing is that you don't need to disclose any information to friends or significant others or anybody. This is your business. This is your condition. This is your experience. This is not anybody else's. If you are in a relationship that you've been in for a long time, it does involve another person. However, you should not feel pressure from them. You should not feel obligated to comply with anything. Personally, my boyfriend has been working through this with me the entire time we've been together. I think the first time we kind of tried to have sex or anything was about a year into our relationship, because I told him I can't put anything in there. And he was like, that's fine. We'll work through it. And to tell you the truth, if any significant other says anything, absolutely anything other than it's okay, we'll work it through, just fucking run, okay? Like, you want someone to respect you. And as far as friends are concerned, like, you should feel supported by them. They should say, I'm here for you. That sounds really hard, because it is hard. And you can set a boundary with discussing anything in the first place. You are not obligated to tell people right up front. You can wait until any point in the relationship. I still did that with my boyfriend. I didn't tell him every single thing right away because I didn't know the guy. I had to get to know him first. Like, we knew each other on a friend level basis. But obviously we didn't know each other intimately yet. And I was like, look, I'm not ready for this because there's things that I have to sort out. And he was like, okay. We have extremely open communication, which is so important in relationships. Everybody should have open communication. I very much sympathize with the fact that he is affected by my condition, but I remind myself it's because he wants to give me intimacy, not because he's selfish, not because he is lacking something or that he feels he's missing out. And I feel like those are, I don't know, some people would say they're red flags. I feel like they're orange flags because sometimes people don't know how to communicate what they're feeling. And, you know, I highly recommend therapy at that point. If it's accessible to you financially or in person, well, or virtually, because we got to stay COVID safe. We got to all stay COVID safe here. But my boyfriend, we had to work through me explaining that it has nothing to do with him, and he can get discouraged, but he'll immediately bring it up and we talk it through. It's important for both people to bring up their feelings and express them when they happen. I can't really speak to relationships between two females or two people who have vaginas, because this isn't a position I've been in. Regardless, all communication should feel comfortable and I feel like I keep saying communication a lot, but that's fine because it's a topic. Everybody should feel comfortable and open. This topic may not be a fun one, but a healthy relationship creates an atmosphere of security. Someone could be hesitant to allow themselves to feel safe, but that can also be a starter conversation. You don't have to nobody has to jump into, first of all, any conversation they don't want to have. But second of all, if you feel nervous bringing something up, make that known. You don't even have to talk about the topic right away. Just say, look, I want to talk about something that's on my mind, but I'm not feeling secure to do so, and I want to work through that first. Anything along the lines of, hey, I have something I want to talk with you about. I have concerns that whatever it may be. You know, when I talk with my boyfriend, I have concerns that he's going to hear me out incorrectly, or that he's going to feel bad, or I'm not going to be able to word something correctly. At that point, usually I've been seeing a therapist for 12 years. So normally when I have a topic related to vaginismus or related to sex and intimacy I want to bring up, usually I'll go to her and I'll ask her first, because in my mind, this is not an emergency. And I feel like that's another very important point I want to make. This does not define your life. Vaginismus is not something that is a ride or die or a life or death situation. It certainly affects the quality of our lives. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this is not an important issue, but personally, I don't feel like this is something that we have to solve it tomorrow. It has to go away tomorrow. It has to go away within the next hour. And I feel like there's this pressure that's put on a lot of us, or most of us as women and who identify as women with this condition, to get over it super quickly. And I feel like that creates more frustration. You know, going through this is your own, no matter how long that takes, and no matter who you're with should respect that. They should respect if this takes a month. I haven't started any kind of therapy. I haven't started dilation. I think the most that I've been using are trying to use the smallest size tampon I could possibly fit in. And even that's really fucking hard. Oh God, I just cursed. I gotta bleep that out. I don't want to get in trouble or anything. I don't know. We talk about those things. He talks with me about, hey, like, are you feeling any type of way about it recently? Did you want to go into it more? Did you want to back away from anything? You know, another very loving thing to get from your partner is for when they check in. And if you're comfortable with them checking in, and if that's something that encourages you and helps you, let them know that. Let them know, hey, like, I really like it when you ask me how I'm doing. It makes me feel more comfortable to talk about it. It makes me feel more comfortable to think about. If they say something like they're not hearing you out, cutting you off, getting angry and frustrated at you, that goes from an orange flag to a red flag. This is all about intention from the other person as well. When you talk about this thing and you come forward, you are trusting someone, whether it's a friend or a boyfriend. I feel like I've been focusing on boyfriends a lot in this episode, and I want to make it known that this goes for anybody. Family members too. It's really awkward I feel like it's really awkward to tell a family member, especially if it's like, I don't know, personally, I'd feel more awkward talking to my brother than I would like my female cousins, or like even my mom. Like, I feel weird talking to my mom about these things, but I feel like that's because we don't have a super close relationship. But besides the point, like, the intention behind what you receive is very important for your safety, mentally and physically, depending on your circumstances and your situations. Like, you should not receive an answer that is emotionally charged with negativity. This is a very scary thing to deal with. It's already making us feel negative. It's already making us feel stuck. Like, it's already making us feel like there's something there that we can't accomplish that we should be accomplishing. Like, we don't need to feel that from anybody else. We should never feel like we owe it to someone to get over this, because the only person that we owe it to is ourselves. It absolutely, like, I am a very firm believer in putting yourself before anybody else, no matter where you're at in your life. Like, you could have a partner, a significant other, whatever you want to call them. Like, you're equal, fine. But if I'm not putting myself first, I can't do it anymore. I've done that for so long in so many different ways that when it comes down to this was something that I put my foot down and I learned, you know what? I have to come first with this. And if my boyfriend is unhappy, or my friend finds it weird, or my mom's uncomfortable with me talking about it, then that can't be a source of support. And it's very dependent on everybody's individual situation. I'm not saying break up with them immediately. I'm not saying cut them off entirely, but I would talk with them about it. I would try to work through therapy. I would try to talk everything out as much as you can. If finances are available, seek out counseling. I will link Instagram pages on my website for those who might not have funds or access to counseling or sex therapy. Go ahead and follow my Facebook. Stuck Not Stopped is the same title. If you have a Facebook and you're comfortable doing that. And yeah, I'm going to have resources on my website in terms of effective communication, whether that's related to vaginismus or not. And I've been researching different topics in sex therapy and around sex and intimacy and how to communicate with those. So the next blog post that I have, I don't know if you guys even read that. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you're interested in, or if it's like, you don't really visit it. I'm not going to be offended. I feel like that's something that I can hold myself accountable to and keep track of to make sure that, and I'm a writer. I love writing. And this blog post is going to be a lot lengthier than the other ones, not just with resources, but with me explaining communication in sex therapy. Even though I reviewed a lot of it here, I feel like this is something that's such an in-depth discussion and my episodes are relatively short. Like, I think right now, my audio is at like 12:42. So, I'm coming to an end here because I personally like to keep these ones short. And so if reading is your thing, go head over to my website, my blog. It's going to be linked in the description box below. And before we end, you deserve to respect yourself and be respected by others. You do not deserve to be pressured into discussions and pressured into anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. You deserve to love yourself. And I'm going to end it here. But before you click away, I wanted to say that I've been trying to get an idea out there of us sharing our stories. You'd be completely anonymous, 1000%, unless requested otherwise. And it would be a compilation of everybody's experience with vaginismus and other pelvic floor disorders. I want to be all inclusive here. I feature vaginismus, but I lack knowledge in a lot of other pelvic floor disorders. And I'm so curious to learning about more of them. And I'm even more interested in hearing people's personal experiences with them. Not that I'm enthusiastic that people go through a hard time, but I'm very passionate about learning about other people's lives and knowing what people go through, because they deserve to be cared about. And I want people to understand, like, people are here and, everybody kind of has the idea that we're not alone, but I don't even want people to feel like they're alone, because that's scary. So if that's something you're interested in, my email is nm.talkpodcast@gmail.com, which is also in the description box below, linked next to my website. So head over there for related content, Instagram pages, as well as other resources related to each podcast episode for further learning and understanding. And with that, I leave you be, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.